Hello, everyone, and I'm Gary,
I'm John.
and we're
Two bros doing shows.
And speaking of shows, tonight was SmackDown's 900th episode. This thing's been around since I was 13, bro.
Yeah, man. It's been a long, wild ride for SmackDown. And, tonight wasn't all that bad for a show. A bit sparse, but it's because everything went on a bit longer than usual.
Yeah, I know, especially the part where they cut off The Undertaker. But anyway, it started out with a little montage at the beginning, celebrating the different eras of SmackDown, which I always like those little, video clips.
There and now kind of segments.
Exactly. And it just showing us, especially with SmackDown, because we grew up in the SmackDown generation, bro. Back when this stuff was on network television.
Yeah, back when it was on what? I believe it was WB Network or something like that.
UPN.
UPN, thank you. Cannot for the life of me remember that.
Yeah,
that's how long it's been.
You can't remember anything, blonde lady, when I'm talking about Dana Brooke. But anyway.
Hey, screw you, man. That the only thing I remember back that era is that it was also when they used to have like Sister on like right after it.
Okay, dude. You lost me. Anyway, getting to the point, they started it out with, I think, something they should have ended it with. It was Miz and Ziggler for the Intercontinental title. Now, that match overall was, again, anytime these two get in the ring, especially for this, it is a classic.
That was simply an amazing match, and I enjoyed every second of it. I'm surprised that people didn't start chanting "Fight Forever."
Yeah, except for the last second of it, where Maurice interfered and the Spirit Squad interfered.
Yeah, it was up until that point, and then it was just like, well, that match went to shit.
Yeah, and I'm really getting tired of Dolph wants to cheat every time. Miz. Okay, I was just talking crap about you. What's going on with me? But yeah, no, Miz sat there and cheated, and the Spirit Squad came out and tried to attack Dolph Ziggler. That didn't go off well for them because they got super kicked, and then he was put into a figure four, which he got out of. Then he rolled up the Miz, which was going to be a 3 count. And then Maurice, which I don't know how the ref didn't see this. Gee, these guys are obviously blind. Creative makes them blind. But they get pushed. Maurice pushes him, reverses the roll up, so Miz is on top. 1, 2, 3, Miz wins the title.
Now that is what I call a finger poke of doom.
Yeah. The point of all of that is that now we know who Sami Zayn's opponent's going to be at Survivor Series.
Which, again, I can write this shit because I believe last time I was saying that it is very possible that they would have a face versus a face at the pay-per-view, that it would be more appropriate had the Miz take the title to Survivor Series and then fight Sami Zayn. So,
Yes, his intercontinental, or whatever the hell he's calling his new intercontinental reign, which he always has some stupid name for it. But the point being is I think that Ziggler versus Zayn would have made for a more entertaining match. But I suppose WWE just always has this thing where they are so afraid of putting a face up against a face. But they will do heel versus heel whenever the fuck they want.
Well, it's because it's like both people are, you know, when you have a heel versus a heel, you're going to have one heel that's more likable than the other. Whereas face versus face, it's kind of hard to, I mean, not every face pops the same.
Well, for whatever reason, it is The Miz. Now you got to look at it. Who is the better shot here, Miz or Zayn?
Well, I'm going to call it now. I'm going to say that the title is going to shift shows. The only way I think that it's going to, that it would remain on SmackDown is if Sami Zayn went to SmackDown, but I don't see that happening.
This is what I see happening. It's going to be one of two things. Because remember, on Talking Smack, he said if The Miz lost at Survivor Series, he was going to trade him, right?
Okay.
So, I see one of two things happening. Either A, Miz is going to win, retain, and keep that mid-card, or B, Zayn will win, and they'll think, oh, we have both mid-card titles, and then they'll trade The Miz, and Sami Zayn will want to jump ship. So, and he'll bring the IC title back to SmackDown. So, in a sense, I think we're both thinking the same thing, but I just don't see the IC title leaving SmackDown either way.
Well, if you say so.
So, on that note, oh yeah, and by the way, Mauro Ranallo sat there and called Dolph Ziggler the Heartbreak Kid, you know. I'm like, what? I don't remember him being the showstopper, actually, was what he called him. Like, maybe 10 years ago, bro. But...
Well, that's another, yeah, I mean, I don't know why they'd start referring to him by all the things that they called Shawn Michaels. I know he uses the super kick a lot, but that, I mean, everybody uses the super kick, so that's nothing new.
And by the way, with this Intercontinental title win, and him and The Miz getting it back, this makes 6 times he's been Intercontinental champ. 6. Like, are you trying to catch up to Chris Jericho? Because at this point, it's not going to be all that long. You trying to get to 10? You know? I'd open my hands and do a Ty Dillinger, but I can't do that right now. John, you want to do that for me?
No, I don't.
Boo! You suck. But the point being is that it's 6 times, and that is a great deal many times. And he is Hall of Fame certified at this point. I mean, you've got a WWE title, tag team titles, 6 Intercontinental titles. I mean, you're in. I mean, that is most definitely... I can't even argue that. Now, before I go any further, John, why don't you tell the people all our sites and where they can contact us?
So, if you want to get in contact with us, there are various ways. There is our Facebook account, which is Two Bros Doing Shows. There is our Twitter, which is at Two Bros Doing Shows, except spelled with the number 2. And also you can get a hold of us at Yahoo, at Two Bros Doing Shows at yahoo.com.
Thank you. Now, there was something getting to King Booker and him going in and Mr. I'm a one-man band, Beauty and the Man Beast stated that they had an inspirational speaker to come and talk to them. And then King Booker walks in, hear ye, and just starts talking to them and trying to inspire them.
Last time I saw King Booker, I said the next time I'd see him would be too soon. It's still too soon.
The fun thing, I was expecting him to make some kind of Burger King reference, but he didn't. I mean, the other funny thing was Charmel wasn't with them. That was kind of a downer.
I don't think she's been seen on SmackDown since they had gone to TNA.
But even still,
actually no. The funniest thing, the other funny thing about that was damn Fashion Police.
Oh, I was getting to that. Trust me.
Woo,
woo, woo, woo. Oh, we're the two guys that looked like the cops from the freaking Village People.
No, okay. They are literally dressed up as strippers would be if they were dressed up as cops. They are stripper cops.
And
that's what they are. No, they are
the stripper cop tag team now. And WWE wants to claim to be PG? Like, really? Like, these guys literally look like stripper cops. And they're throwing out freaking tickets that
fashion tickets.
Yeah, Fashion Police tickets to people that they think are dressed poorly. Go find fucking Chris Jericho.
No, look in the mirror.
Too.
Just I'm sorry, but this is they're getting like Attitude Era silly now.
Well, I like it.
Well, so do I. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying
as hell. I'm not gonna lie.
It's nice. It's nice that they're not just going with like 100% seriousness. I'm glad we're finally starting to like leave that era.
Yeah, being too subtle is not that great, and this is definitely a not so subtle tag team, and I would like to see these guys go up against Jericho. I really would.
But I mean, to be fair, they're not bad though.
They're not. And the reason why I want to see that is because, Fandango has a win over Chris Jericho.
Also, I don't know. I like it because they've given Tyler Breeze something to do.
Well, it's the same thing with Fandango.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They've given the sexual idealists something to do, Anyway, speaking of sexual idealists, the next match was Nikki Bella versus Carmella. And the match, really, it was a decent match. And then all of a sudden, you saw Charlotte come down. Shit went down after that.
Real fast. Like,
the whole Raw team came out and tried to ambush Carmella and Nikki Bella.
Well, it started with just Nikki Bella. Carmella looked like she thought about leaving, but then stepped in and tried to help Nikki Bella because, the teammates at Survivor Series.
Well, it was 5-on-2 for a while.
Yeah.
And then the rest of Team SmackDown's women came out.
Right now.
It was 5-on-5, and it was a beatdown to remember.
Yeah, man.
I'm liking where they are taking the women right now.
I just personally, I just liked how they did this whole thing with like the SmackDown men went to Raw and tried beating the crap out of them, and then on SmackDown it was the women from Raw going into SmackDown.
Yeah, they're really putting an emphasis this year on the Survivor Series matches, which to me, Survivor Series usually doesn't mean shit. This year, it means a little bit more because they are really laying it on heavy and throwing everything but the kitchen sink at the Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do like that. And, I can't blame them for wanting to make the women look good and the men look good and the tag teams look good. And the Intercontinental title. This title is beginning to look more and more like a prestigious title again. So I'm glad that the Intercontinental title is one of the bigger things.
It's getting a lot of notice now, and I'm hoping that they keep that up when Miz and Ziggler aren't still vying for it, when it comes to other people.
Now, the next match had the Spirit Squad, the Ascension, the Vaudevillains, and the Headbangers versus Team SmackDown's tag teams.
So basically the winners versus the losers of the qualifying matches.
Or in other words, all the friggin' tag teams you should have drafted to Raw because you ain't got no tag teams on Raw. But
so again, it was a good match.
it was a 16-man tag team match. 16. Like, you can't draft a single friggin' tag team to Raw? Like, really? It was a fun match to watch, and for the most part, it started out pretty. It was pretty aggressive, and they were doing a lot of spots for people like the Hype Bros and the Usos.
And they even had a spot with the Fashion Police.
Woo! Woo! But yeah, it is definitely. It was a good match, and I couldn't complain about it. It was something that I expected to happen, especially for SmackDown. The reason they didn't do that for Raw is they have no damn tag teams on Raw.
Yeah, they have to do things a little bit differently on Raw, which in my opinion, it's weird because you'd think the show with 3 hours would have more teams.
Or an emphasis upon each division. It seems like SmackDown really, truly does have the superior show. Anyway, now, finally, we are to the cutting edge. So, Edge comes out, and I gotta say, man, you need to shave your beard because it looks friggin' terrible. But Edge walks out, and he's really, really, he's pumped about it. And he walks out, and he talks about how he bleeds blue, and how how it's great to be back on SmackDown. Everything he kind of...
Yeah, basically all the reunion kind of shit you'd hear from anyone that hasn't been there in a while.
Right. And then he asks Team SmackDown to come out there for the men's team. So, all 5 plus James Ellsworth comes out. And then Ellsworth asks, and then he goes to shake somebody's hand. And So Ed, what happened is, Edge is like, there's one person that I think personifies what SmackDown is about, which is opportunity, and I want to shake that man's hand. And so he goes to walk over to one of the corners, and, there's AJ, and then there's James Ellsworth, and AJ goes to shake Edge's hand, and Edge shakes James Ellsworth's hand, and then Ellsworth decides to ask for a 5-second pose with him. Yeah, I mean, this was one of the funniest parts of the show. The fact,
Just the pure look of indignation on AJ Styles' part was hilarious.
yeah, I mean, I honestly thought it was going to turn into a big fight between the 5 people on Team SmackDown. And then all of a sudden,
Bong.
bong, bong. Yeah, the Undertaker walks out with his badass, opening. And, I wanted
Wait. So both of us have been racking our brains thinking, oh, he's going to choose someone for WrestleMania to fight. And not to mention a lot of other things. We honestly thought, I thought he was going to get his own segment. What did you think?
Well, I thought he was going to get his own segment because they were pumping a lot of hype into this throughout the show with them showing little segments of him grabbing his hat and walking towards the light control and everything. But this was very underwhelming and somewhat disappointing. I mean, Undertaker still looked like a boss. But it ended up in him saying this. If Team SmackDown loses, then anyone there was going to have to answer to him. And that he was still... And that WrestleMania won't be...
defines him.
What defines him. And that he's...
Well, anymore, he said.
Yeah, and that he's still digging holes and taking souls.
Is that like similar to kicking ass and chewing bubblegum?
I don't know, I guess. But yeah, he's all out of bubblegum, it looked like, by the end of that segment. And the weirdest part is they cut him off. They cut him off.
They like usually they'll have the copyright and then they'll slowly go to black. And they just cut it off and just put on the next show, which was a bit jarring.
Yeah, I'm thinking, wow, that was
seriously 900th episode, and you can't spare the change to make it last a little longer.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was such an awkward split. It almost looked like USA did not care that much about what the hell was going on, nor did they care that much about the fact that it was the last SmackDown before Survivor Series. So you'll have 0 more programming on your network before Survivor Series. And you're going to pull that shit? Like, no. I don't care if you did have fucking Shooter on afterwards and it was some big freaking TV show that you wanted to premiere. That's disrespectful. So I don't understand it. I don't think that you understand it.
I just don't care.
I just think it's dumb. And what else I thought was kind of dumb about this whole thing was it had a lack of matches. Although there were some other parts, like the fact that Natalya is suddenly the coach. Natalya is the female version now of James Ellsworth.
No, because she can actually wrestle.
No, well, yeah, but she's got a whistle. You know?
No, she reminds me more of,
Well, what I'm talking about here is that there was a segment where Alexa Bliss is standing there with Daniel Bryan.
Complaining about the end of the match last week.
Yeah, and that her leg was clearly on the rope, da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, I think all of us that watched that match know exactly what happened. So, Daniel Bryan says, yes, you'll get your rematch after Survivor Series. And then Natalya is out there.
Decides that this is a very teachable moment.
And saying, I get knocked
No,
down.
no. She's saying, you get knocked down, but you got to get up again. Because nobody's going to keep you down. And she keeps repeating that over and over again. And finally, friggin' Alexa Bliss is like, really? Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
Chumbawamba. And then what puts it all together is Natalya's like, what's a Chumbawamba?
Yeah, well, like, she's really that stupid.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff, though, that really, really just brings it all together when it comes to SmackDown.
Honestly, SmackDown is beginning to look like a retro 90s show.
And I do love the way that Daniel Bryan is, managing SmackDown.
Well, Daniel Bryan and Shane, I don't know how much actual power.
Well, no, I'm just saying I love the portrayal of his character.
Yes, his character is definitely portrayed quite well. As I've said before, I don't know how much actual power that Shane and Daniel Bryan have with that show, but whatever creative is doing to that show versus Raw, it's just, SmackDown is the superior brand. And SmackDown is looking incredibly good right now. Going into Survivor Series, I'm very curious to see how creative is going to treat SmackDown versus Raw, and Goldberg versus Lesnar, and Sami Zayn versus The Miz. It's going to be very interesting. So I honestly cannot wait to see this happen. So I'm Gary.
I'm John.
And for Two Bros Doing Shows, Top Guys
out.